Dallas is striking a pose for charitable events that showcase the hottest fashions in the world. And the face of these events is Jan Strimple. Meet this iconic model and producer next on Prime. Hi everyone, I'm Paige Stafford and welcome back to Prime. Jan is certainly an icon here in Dallas, but the Salvation Army Fashion Show and Luncheon is also iconic in North Texas. It brings together the hard work of the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary and the A-listers who attend. The event happened a couple weeks ago, but Jan is here to share some of the highlights. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what can you tell us about this event?
Wow, there's nothing like it. Let's start with that, because truly it's an idea that came from Margot Perot, and Margot said, you know, we have much, my friends have much, and there are many who don't have much. So can't we do something with what we have to help them? Something that's easy beyond the checks that, of course, so many A-listers write. But the idea was, of course, women who, you know, need certain image clothes and they buy clothes for their functions, they don't use them that much, and those clothes could have a second life and do some good for some other people. So with that, we get these incredible donations. They come in from ladies' closets in the Dallas and Fort Worth area. We put them together and create an amazing show, of which the most fun is to watch them buy their own clothes back sometimes. Right. I love that part of it.
Well, sounds fabulous, and it's put on by the Women's Auxiliary, who do an amazing job.
They do, and they have actually a new junior group that's been forming too, because as with all charities, there's a group that kind of lead it now, but they all need a future. They will kind of redirect themselves, they will grow, and as, for example, as your generation moves into this, your taste might be a little bit different, and what will drive you to attend event and leave some money behind to help a charity will maybe be a little different in 5 or 6 years than what your mother would have loved, for example.
Right, and as we talked before the show, I joined the Junior Auxiliary about 2 years ago, and I found it very rewarding. And you had some great ideas about what we can do for next year's fashion show.
I would love for the junior group and for all of your friends to get on Facebook and for everyone listening to us today also, just to think about the Salvation Army as their charity, because you can wrap your arms around that charity just like it will wrap their arms around you if you find yourself in any kind of a disaster in your lifetime. And it is an extraordinary group. The Women's Auxiliary could use anything you're done with, those things that don't fit anymore, perhaps, you know, the things that you're like, oh, that perhaps wasn't the best purchase in my closet. We can take everything, from designer through kind of low end. It really doesn't matter. It all has another life, and it all does something good for someone else. We'll even service it. We'll even send someone to your house and pick it up and give you a donation receipt.
That's easy.
So it does magic.
Well, I have a whole bag I could probably donate of clothes from college, and so.
Right.
Well, that's good.
I'm sure a lot of people do, and your friends will as well. So you can reach out to them and gather it up, and for over the summer months, and Salvation Army will come and pick it up.
Well, I'll start Facebooking.
Absolutely, please do.
So what is so unique about this fashion show?
Well, that the clothes aren't new, and the clothes we sometimes get a lot of donations from the 80s, the 90s, you know, in the last 10 years as well.
Right, and what was the theme of this year's? It was
it's always called doing the most good with your clothes. The Salvation Army's tagline is doing the most good, but then they add with your clothes for this particular event, because really, you know, some people might take them to a resale store, but this really, it will do the most good by you saying, I have worn these, I have enjoyed them, let this turn into a life-saving something for someone else as their lives need help and you need some outreach. But the beauty of this event is we might, for example, one lady, she obviously was a Prada fan, and we got 5, you couldn't even tell they were ever worn, fabulous Prada dresses that probably were 2, 3, or 4 years old from her, in perfect shape. And of course, every one of those sold. We get Chanel, we get Stella McCartney, we get Gucci, we got one lady who gave us 125 pairs of Ferragamo shoes. Now, the lucky girl was the one who was her shoe size, needless to say. And sometimes we'll get these amazing finds from the 80s, and we'll look at it, like, for example, there was an Oscar de la Renta dress in the show, and it had those big, huge, black, puffy sleeves from the 80s. We look at the dress and think, let's remove that sleeve, let's finish that off, And your generation is going to go, I want that dress. It's spectacular, but you wouldn't have touched it with that huge 80s puffy sleeve on it. So we remake a few things, we'll shorten a few things, we'll take something off that screams 80s to modernize it, and with that turn it around and we'll sell it for a few $100s, yeah.
Wonderful. So Emmett Smith was very involved in this event.
Well, Pat Smith, technically,
okay, so
aren't they the most beautiful inside and out couple that I just think they're such
really
stellar pillars of our community. Warm and fuzzy people, as I call them in the best of ways. Pat was actually our MC, and then, oh, by the way, with Pat we got Emmett, so we laughed. Yeah, we tagged along. But the beauty is Emmett's story is that the Salvation Army, when he grew up in Florida, was a part of his youth. He said it gave him his first foray into the world of football because of some of their after-school programs. So he has a very heartfelt reason to be there and come back and support it because it provided, you know, it's something for him that perhaps kept him off the streets and all of that as you're going through your youth and your upbringing. And it was important to him, and he, of course, can give back and does give back. So,
well, that's very neat. I did not know that. How do you come up with your unique ideas for each year?
Well, the clothes inspire it. For example, this year, last year, Dallas lost one of our major, most philanthropic women here. Her name was Nancy Hammond. And
yes.
Of course, is the Hammond wing of the DMA and the funding of the new Booker T Art School for the Arts and Performing Arts. She was a huge supporter of the arts, and when she died, the Salvation Army had access to a great amount of her clothing. So they were under lock and key until we could come and take a look at them, and from it I was so inspired because she was very theatrical. So the closing scene, which we called poetic dressing, were these kind of over-the-top extraordinary pieces that maybe they weren't for everybody, but wow, what a way to close a fashion show. And they allowed us to kind of accelerate the show and bring a lot more drama than, you know, we have our, like, you look great today and you have a great little fabulous blouse on and a slim skirt with a very sexy little zipper on the back. I noticed. We love that. And all of those things are what we wear in our regular life, but every girl or woman sitting there wants to see a little more theater on a runway show. So Nancy's things provided a lot of that for me to work with, which was great. And we were a beautiful bridal dress. It was custom, was donated. And it had beautiful peigne work underneath, and we found a model who walked into it like it was made on her. And so the clothes that come to us really inspired the specific design. This year we celebrated the Italian designers, the French designers, and the New York designers. So a scene kind of at the tip of the hat to each of those groupings of designers. Also had one scene that celebrates, and you'll know this term, I don't know that, you know, your grandmother would know it, but the mashup of kind of, you know, as a girl dresses today, you might get something like, you might say, okay, my budget can afford this, and I'm going to save and get this extraordinary piece that I want, but I might wear it with a pair of fabulous shoes I find from Target.
Right.
Well, we dress that way today, so it's the high and the low, but we also do that with prints. A lot of our suits that we might have had donated were from the 80s or the 90s, which meant they were matching suits. Well, today, I don't know that you match a suit.
Not
do
so
you
much
as a young woman?
matchy anymore.
Right, so we mix it up, so that's the mashup. So we'll take like a jacket from one and we'll put a skirt back and we'll mix the prints together and maybe even mix a third print underneath.
Love it.
And it's very fun because we push it. We show the ladies, well, you may have owned it this way, but let me show you how a magazine would photograph it and how it will excite you. And I had more women comment on that scene than any scene. They were like, I had no idea. I just don't think about putting things together that way. And that's,
I know, it takes a different mindset. You really have to know how to put your outfits together.
Yeah, after this, though, it's Candy Long is my stylist on that, and we work very hard on that show because it's such a challenge. And we were like, we want this show to be styled within an inch of its life because it's so much fun to have a woman respond to something that she had donated and see it back on the runway. And truly, I have will witness women buying their own things back because they looked so good on that runway. So that's
so the show is in April, but can you still shop?
You can't shop right now, but what we're going to be doing is gathering and holding for this show. And a lot of people, it's confused. It's like, oh, well, are those clothes in the Salvation Army stores right now? No, the Women's Auxiliary will gather these things throughout the year now, hoping with anyone who's listening within earshot too to perhaps contribute to that. Then my team will come in and take a look at these things, and by next April or May in 2003, we will put this event together. And if you buy a ticket to the event, then you have first dibs on all the shopping experiences.
See, okay.
And then after the event, we for 24 hours, the group of, like Santa's elves come in, all the great volunteers for the Salvation Army, and they basically reprice everything, and then they make it open to the public at no cost to come in and shop. So the Salvation Army will always post that, and there'll be a lot of press buzz on that, and we open it for one day of shopping, and then if it's not sold that day, sliced to 50% off, and then we open it one more day for shopping. So it is open to the public if you're not someone who can pay the price to attend the actual event.
Okay, well, you're really so connected to all fashion events in Dallas. Can we talk about DIFA for a moment?
Oh, close to my heart.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. What do you want to know about it?
Well, tell me about the whole experience.
Well, DIFA itself was founded in the early 80s. It's a national program that raises money for impacting the lives of people that have been living with HIV and AIDS, and now very much focused on the next generation, which is youth, because this is a disease that we are managing in many ways through medications now in this country, but my God, you don't need to get this disease. Hello. So our next message as a group of people working with DIFA is to target youth and saying, think before you act. So it's about education very much so. DIFA raises money for people and for preventative information and education. AMFAR raises money for medical research. So AMFAR and DIFA are the two biggest organizations in this country that have forged forward and been able to start the management of HIV and AIDS. So the Dallas chapter has had the most successful run with this extraordinary thing called the Dallas Collection. The original concept was take some jean jackets and have the best designers in the world redesign these jean jackets. Like Madonna and her daughter Lourdes finger painted a jean jacket once.
Oh, wow.
And it sold for $2,400. And I thought, really, if I finger painted a jean jacket, somebody would pay $5 for it, probably. So, and Gianfranco Ferré and Bill Blass and Oscar and Herrera and all the major designers have done it. It had a 20-some-year life run, and now this year we kind of brought it back with a different spin on it. No more denim jackets, but instead the iconic tip of our hat to Yves Saint Laurent's Le Smoking, fabulous cocktail jackets for men and women to be wearing for after 5. So,
well, wonderful. And real briefly, I want to touch upon Fashion Night Out in September.
September 6th, mark your calendar, save up.
I will be there.
There are, well, I can tell you 3 specific things that are spectacular going on. The Galleria, North Park, and Highland Park Village all have big plans. I know that for sure so far. So, and I'm sure there's other, bodies in Dallas that are cooking up some fabulous plans.
It is always such an exciting event.
It's going to be a major. It's a national event. It brings an awareness to some of the purpose of fashion's outreach and a lot of the charities associated with it, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever this year. So you shouldn't be anywhere else but those locations on the 6th of September in Dallas.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jan, and
my pleasure.
For all that you do to make Dallas a fashion hub in the world.
Thank you for your new membership in the junior group of the Salvation
absolutely.
Army. Paige.
Well, you can find out more about the fashion show and luncheon on sawadallas.org, and you can keep up with us on Prime on onprimetv.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm Paige Stafford, and thank you for joining us.